Shalom. Before we start, we're going to give all praises
to Yahweh,
Ba'ashem, Yahushai, the wondrous apostle, now bear no stone, peace, blessings, and salutations to all who like to Akim, walk in learning, teaching, in truth and sincerity. Alright, did you want to take that?
Can somebody grab Revelations 12 and 9? You know, basically, you know, we're still in America. You know, this is our captivity. The ones that are ruling over America is the nation of Edom, the so-called white man. You know, who is the sworn enemy of the nation of Israel, you know, since their existence. And basically, they're our oppressor. You know, we've been under many captivities before, and yeah, we've caught hell from all different nations, but the ones that have us in their hands right now is the so-called white man. And they're oppressing our people, you know, beginning in 1492, since they've been loose for a little season, you know, which you can read about that in the book of Revelations, the 20th chapter. You know, since they've been loose for a little season, you know, they've been putting the whole planet Earth through hell, but mainly their sworn enemy. You know, when you go back into Genesis, the 4th chapter, which we're going to get into a little bit later on in this lesson, you're going to find out that Genesis, the 3rd chapter and Genesis, the 4th chapter, but in Genesis, the 3rd chapter, it tells you that the Most High was going to put enmity between the seed of the serpent and the seed of the woman, which the seed of the serpent represents the so-called white man, and the seed of the woman represents the nation of Israel. So here it is, when you come up to the present time, you know, they've been oppressing us. They've been giving the world hell. They've been giving the world of Israel hell. The slavery that they put us into. I mentioned 1492 when they came over here and they put our brothers through hell. The northern kingdom, you know, the Gadites, the Ephraimites, the Manassites, the Asherites, the Iskarites, and so on and so forth, you know, by way of rape, robbing, and pillaging them. And when you go to 1619 and above, you know, they brought the southern kingdom here and made them serve in a rigorous slavery, one that's worse than any of their predecessors, one that's worse than the Egyptians, the Babylonians, the Persians, and the Medes. You know, this devil has been a perpetual enemy of the house of Israel out of envy for a while. You know, so let's get into it, man, because Esau, the so-called white man, and the nation of Edom, which are the children of Esau, they are the devil, man, that the Bible speaks of. Go ahead and grab that.
Revelations 12 and 9.
Anybody, can somebody grab it in a blue letter? I should have specified.
Revelations 12 and 9. And the great dragon which was cast out, that old serpent, called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world, has cast down unto the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
Okay, hold on. Before you read further, because I want to look up this word devil. This is very interesting, and I just found out this information today by watching a live stream from, you know, Elder Yashawamba. You know, Shalom, you know, to you, Akia, you know, and the other Akia that you did the video with. It was a very edifying live stream. So go ahead and bring that out in the blue letter. Yeah. Because it gets interesting when you read that word devil. It shows you there that it's not actually talking about the spiritual demon Satan, you know, but that is actually talking about a man or men. Go ahead.
This is the Greek 1228, Diablos, right? All right.
And matter of fact, before you read that, grab Wisdom of Solomon 2 and 24, Baba Kasha.
This is Wisdom of Solomon 2 and 24. said, nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death into the world.
Through envy of the devil came death into the world. You know, keep this scripture in mind because it's going to click once we get further into this lesson. You know, because you're going to find out that it's not the spiritual demon Satan that scripture is talking about. Because when you get into these scriptures, you find out that Satan actually works for the Most High and he rejoiced to do the will of the Most High, man. He's not an adversary against the Most High. You know, he's not a devil against the Most High, but he's the Most High's workman. You know, this is actually talking about a men or a nation of people. You know, because it says through envy of the devil, death entered into the world. Well, let's get this definition in that scripture again.
Okay.
In Revelations 12 and 9.
Okay. It says prone to slander, slanderous, accusing falsely.
And the word there was diablos.
Diablos.
Yep. Okay, kind of.
Yep. Diablos, Greek 12:25. It says a calumniator, false accuser, slanderer. This is the point. A metaphor applied to a man who, by opposing the cause of the Most High.
By a man who opposing the cause and the will of the Most High.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It say may be said to act the part of the devil or to side with him.
So Esau, the so-called white man, is acting the part of the devil, and he's siding with us, slandering the nation of Israel. He did a hell of a job trying to demonize us and make us look like the bad ones throughout the planet Earth. You know, but now other nations are looking and beholding, they're seeing all of the injustice and the oppression of our nation, and even they are saying, okay, man, this man is the devil. Like, for an example, you got the Iranian president who's getting on America about getting into other nations' affairs. And they're saying before you try to, you know, get into another nation's affairs, you need to deal with the civil rights issues that you have on your own home front, man. You know, these nations know that Jake is being oppressed over here. The Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. The so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Even though that they're not speaking up against it. Because they too are rejoicing at our downfall, man. You know, which you're going to receive their judgment. Anytime you speak out about against the devil for his slavery and oppression that he did into our nation, he always tries to shift the blame onto another people. Like, we're not the only ones that had people in slavery. No, you're right, you're not. But they're going to receive their judgment, and you're going to receive your judgment as well. But right now, the spotlight is on you. You know, but look at how it says that the man that takes and sides with the devil, you know, that's the so-called white man. So read Wisdom of Solomon again. And can somebody grab Genesis 4, the 4th chapter, verse 3?
This is back in Wisdom of Solomon 2 and 24. Nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death into the world.
So through envy of the devil came death into the world. That's going all the way back to Cain. You know, Cain and Abel. You know, the so-called white man has been jealous of our people for a long time, man. For a long time. And Cain was jealous and envious because Abel's offering was more righteous and more excellent. You know, and the Most High had respect to Abel's offering. So what did he do? He killed him, right? He slew him with the sword. Well, those two spirits that was upon those men, because little, you know, unbeknownst to you, if they didn't go up there and tell you, like Apostle Tahar said, you know, Cain and Abel came back as Jacob and Esau. There's a such thing as reincarnation. Who has 4 and 3?
This is Genesis 4 and 3, and in the presence of in the presence of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering.
Start up a little bit, so you can probably start at 1.
Adam, Genesis 4 and 1. Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from Yahweh. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in the presence of time it came to pass that Cain brought the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord, and Abel he also brought of the firstling of his flock and the fat thereof. And the Lord Yahweh had respect unto Abel and his offering, but unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect.
So the Most High didn't respect, because here it is. That's not actually a good offering, the offering to the Most High, man. So here it is, and he knew, what the Most High accepted and what he didn't accept. He was just being the devil. Go ahead.
And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell, and the Lord.
And who does that sound like right now? That sounds like the so-called white man. That's the same spirit that's working in the so-called white man until today. Go ahead.
And the Lord Yahweh said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth, and why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted, but if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door.
Mm-hmm.
And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him.
So the so-called white man is the ruler of sin. Go ahead.
And
even though they wasn't called the so-called white people now, but the reason that I'm calling them that is because the spirit of Cain is the same spirit that's working in the so-called white race today. And their true race is the nation of Edom. That's their true identity. Go ahead.
And Cain talked with Abel, his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and slew him.
So through envy of the devil, through envy of the devil, death entered into the world, man. That's actually talking about a man. That's not talking about the spiritual demon Satan. That's talking about a man. Go back to Genesis, the 3rd chapter. Because the Lord said, prior to that even happening, because what we're about to read in Genesis 3 and 15, this was a prophecy that was to come during the time. It was fulfilled through Jacob and Esau, and it's still being fulfilled all the way up until this time. But it's also it began back then with Cain and Abel, man. Go ahead and read it.
I'm gonna start from 14. This is Genesis 3 and 14. And the Lord Yahweh's power said unto the serpent,
because those same two spirits of Cain and Abel was reincarnated through Jacob and Esau. Jacob being having the spirit of Abel, and Esau having the spirit of Cain. Go ahead.
Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the day of thy life. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel.
It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Now, because that was the prophecy of Jacob and Esau. That was the prophecy of Jacob and Esau. Coming into the world, man. Can somebody grab Genesis the 25th chapter? Genesis 25 and 25. You got anything out?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. You can grab that.
Mine?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is Psalms 50. I'll just start straight at it. I'll start at verse 20. Verse 20 and 21. It's like, this is Psalms chapter 50, verse 20. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thine own mother's son. These things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself, but I will reprove thee, and set them in order before thine eyes. All right, and that slandering us is Esau. All right, that's why they're making such a big uproar about the actions of our people. Like the riots down in St. Louis, they're rioting because of the social injustice that's going on, but we're blamed and made to look like the rabid criminals. All right, the football players, they're taking knees and sitting down for the national anthem because the national anthem represents nothing other than our death and slaughter. And people are getting tired of it, but they paint us out to look like the bad individuals just because we're speaking up against their oppression. And then for the last verse 21, saying that Esau, they thought that that God is with them. All right, manifest destiny, evolution, all that bullshit. They think they're justified in what they're doing. So the average cracker, he thinks that what he's doing is okay. He thinks God is with him. All right, but that's not so.
And like it says on the dollar bill, you know, God has favored their undertaking. You know, that like the Most High is with them for taking over the world. Yeah, the Most High allowed you to do it, but he did it to put you in the trick bag. You know, and what we're getting is the origin of the so-called white man's hatred and where it began at. You know, and then we're gonna get into you know, the modern events that are happening,